Dude named Zach Radcliffe. He is a MAGA music star. I don't even know what to call him. He played the guitar at CPAC a while back. He got arrested for taking advantage of children that were in his care, that he was like responsible for or whatever. Here's how I understand it. He was grooming minors and then assaulting them, trying to stay within monetizer-friendly lines, but it's a challenge with this situation. And he's using the church credit card, to pay them off, to groom them, to make them feel more special because he's spending money on them. No joke. And by the way, this is the guy that's talking about how trans people are grooming children, you know? That type of person. Yeah, he said a lot of that in his sermons. So I just want to kind of go through like some of this article here on the subject and see what he had to say. So this is Hemant Mehta writing about it. This is from March 6, 2025. A child predator with ties to both, a predator that preys on children, not a child who is preying on other people. With ties to both the evangelical, Christian, and MAGA worlds, will now stand trial on nearly 60 charges. 60 charges. Oh my God. Double the number he's initially charged with after a preliminary hearing by a judge. That's crazy. You may recall this story from last October because it made headlines for reasons that will soon be obvious. Zach Radcliffe was a 29-year-old graduate of Liberty University, a worship director at Oakwood Church in Michigan, a guy who performed original music at the Conservative Political Action Conference, CPAC, in 2019, a supporter of Donald Trump. Zach Radcliffe is a 29-year-old graduate of Liberty University, worship director at Oakwood Church in Michigan, guy who performed original music at CPAC in 2019, supporter of Donald Trump. And then he was arrested for taking advantage of children. By the way, the algorithm is hitting me hard right now, completely ignoring me. So I'd appreciate if you watch to the end of the video. Having increased watch time as a percentage and a raw number is what pushes the video further. Also check out my books, owenmorgan.com. All right, back to the video. Quote, Zachary Joseph Radcliffe, 29, was arraigned on 2 charges of aggravated child sexually abusive activity. I don't know how else to say it. 2 charges, child sexually abusive activity, and 6 charges of using the internet to communicate with another to commit a crime. He's facing up to 25 years in prison. It was actually much worse when you read the details. Radcliffe was accused of producing illicit content involving kids stretching all the way back to 2014. Holy Christ, dude. And do you hear a word out of the mouths of Republicans about this guy condemning this? When Bob Menendez was caught, that congressman who's caught taking bribes from foreign governments, Democrats covered that. I covered that. People covered that story. That wasn't a secret. Nobody tried to cover it up. No one said, no one kept quiet about it or whatever. Yet here we sit on the other side of it with this situation happening and Republicans dead silent. And you know who else is dead silent? Democratic leadership. Why are they not coming out here and pointing out accurately that there are abusers in the midst of the Republican Party, literally performing at their functions, performing at their conferences? Why aren't they talking about this? I don't understand. Liberty University deleted the page touting his CPAC appearance, and the church's homepage soon included a giant "we know exactly why you're visiting our website" disclaimer. Oh my God, imagine having to put that up. That's crazy. Here's, so this is Liberty University, started by Jerry Falwell. This is what their website said when people went to it. We received some very disturbing news about our music and youth director, Zach Radcliffe, who is also the son of our senior pastor, Frank Radcliffe. We realized while talking to him that there is more to the situation that was being expressed. He was suspended with pay on October 3rd, pending future investigation. More information was given to us on Saturday, October 12th at 4. Middle. He was basically put on leave indefinitely until all this pans out. Here's Hemant Mehta speaking again. The church added that anyone with more info should contact the Michigan State Police, which is the least they could do. Certainly, the staffers at the church couldn't be trusted. The kids would have been indefinitely safer listening to drag queens read stories at libraries than attending youth group at this church. Sadly, that's the case at a lot of churches. And I don't think that churches tend to like produce people that take advantage of kids. I don't think there's like an unusually high number of them by default in church settings. I think the problem is that churches are basically immune from criminal investigation for the most part. I mean, of course they're investigated, but they're much safer from investigation. They don't have to pay taxes in the same way. They don't have to report money in the same way. And they know that they'll be protected because they're a man of God. And they'll be forgiven because that's a key part. Basically, people that take advantage of kids know that they can also take advantage of people's gullibility when it comes to religion. They know that they can talk people into forgiving them, even when they don't deserve it, even when they're not sorry in the first place for anything that they've done. They can talk them into forgiving them anyway because they're a brother, quote unquote. I think that people flock to those positions if for no other reason than for like church penitent privilege. Is that what it's called? Where you can't break the vow of secrecy in the Catholic Church at the very least, and others have that same thing. I have a problem with the fact that there are no protections in place against that type of thing, against abusers taking advantage of the system. And I also have a problem with the fact that when the Catholic Church was caught doing this stuff, they moved priests around to protect them from prosecution. Says the timeline here is also interesting. Website said the church learned about the allegations and suspended Zach with pay on October 3rd. On October 6th, Frank Radcliffe delivered a sermon. The series is ironically called Not Today, Satan, in which he said nothing about the allegations at all. He ended the sermon by telling the congregation, we always finish a service with song. We're not going to do that today. We always finish a song by hearing Zach tell us to go be the church. Go be the church. Give somebody a hug. I remember this, actually.
Amen. We always finish the service with song. We're not going to do that today. We always finish a song by hearing Zach tell us to go be the church. Go be the church. Give somebody a hug before you get out of here. You're dismissed.
Yeah, so that's when they found out, I guess. Jesus. The sermon, dated October 20th, given a week after Zach was terminated from his job, included no mention of him at all. Oh, wow. So this was a week after. At this point, they should have made an announcement. They should have talked about it. This is a family, though, that delivered many messages trashing all things liberal. At the height of the pandemic, when people were literally avoiding going outdoors as much as possible, Zach Radcliffe led church members in a downtown maskless sing-along that marched to a local cemetery. This is just like scumbag behavior, honestly. And in 2022, in an interview with Christian radio host Chris Ayotte, Zach's father, Frank Radcliffe, went off on the supposed immorality of the left. Here's a quote from Hemant Mehta. I'm just going to read the bolded parts here. Ayotte, then you have this gender identity ideology, which is from the pit of hell, because it's confusing our children. These are children, and we're going to enable and reward gender dysphoria. I think as Christians, we should be able to speak the truth in love, should we not? Frank Radcliffe says, I believe so. And sometimes that means sitting down and saying this lifestyle that you're choosing is immoral. It's wrong. Instead of sitting down and looking at little people that we won't allow them to have a drink, we won't allow them to smoke a cigarette, we won't allow them to do all these other things, but we'll literally do child abuse on that kid. He's talking about they will literally have the kid, they'll give the kid like bottom surgery to be trans. No, that has not happened. You know how many people had bottom surgery under 12 in the past 5 years, I think? Zero. And to my knowledge, only up to 10 had any kind of surgery of any sort, trans affirming, like mastectomy or anything at all. Only 10 between 13 and 14, I think. I looked up the numbers, but I didn't do a thorough job of it, so you're going to want to research this. Bottom line is that it happens to basically nobody. And they're like finding reasons to hate people, to destroy people's lives, to demonize people and claim that there's this big problem in society or whatever, while completely ignoring the fact that this guy's kid is literally a pedophile, literally like taking advantage of children at the church that he works at actively in that moment. Disgusting. This guy's the last person to ever talk about people harming/grooming kids. Exactly. I want a little bit of fairness here. A little bit. Nobody is grooming kids. You know, I don't like this. This is kind of like a tu quoque fallacy, like know you fallacy is another name for it. I don't like the tu quoque fallacy in the sense that It doesn't matter what anyone else is doing. What matters is what we're talking about now. You know, like people saying China has bad jails, and then someone else saying, look at the United States, they have bad jails. You'd be talking about that. That's true, they do. But that doesn't invalidate the criticisms of China's jails. That is the tu quoque fallacy. However, that doesn't apply in this situation because it's not happening. It's not happening. It's in their heads. It's fictitious. I'm not trying to redirect blame or whatever with this. This isn't even a fallacy. I'm saying you're full of shit. It's not even happening. Additionally, it is happening under your roof. Your kid is doing it. What you're complaining about. Oh, wow. Look, a picture of him wearing a big, stupid Trump shirt right here. Gotta love it. He's an embarrassment. Last month marked the beginning of his trial, and as the judge heard preliminary testimony from some of the alleged victims, the number of charges Zach faces just got higher and higher. Quote, Simpson added 9 counts of first-degree criminal sexual conduct and 21 counts of child sexual abuse activity to an already lengthy criminal complaint. Oh my God. Radcliffe will stand trial on 17 charges of first-degree criminal sexual conduct, 28 counts of 28 counts of child sexually abusive activity, 7 counts of aggravated child sexually abusive activity, and 7 counts of using a computer to commit a crime. If convicted, he's facing up to life in prison. I didn't know that using a computer to commit a crime was its own individual charge. Interesting. The witnesses, ranging in age from 17 to 24, told the court Radcliffe solicited them for explicit videos, sent them photos of himself naked, or paid them in exchange for videos. Yeah, and he used the church credit card for that, to my knowledge. Oh my God, right? Oh my God. Here you go. Hemet Mehta says, how did Zach pay the survivors for the videos? According to the judge, that money may have come from the church. Quote, one witness testified to Radcliffe using a church credit card to purchase items later given to a different victim, Simpson said. Simpson being the judge, I believe. Sad to say, but I think that's what happened, Simpson said. So that's where the tithes were going. That's where the church tithes were going. That is some shit right there. Oh my God. This is Hemet Mehta speaking again. Whether a jury believes that will be another story, but that's where this is heading. Instead of spending more time in church convincing Christians that trans people are their enemies, or singing on another CPAC stage, Zach Radcliffe could spend the rest of his life behind bars. Even that feels too kind, given the alleged trauma he inflicted upon his victims. Disgusting. Absolutely wild, man. I hope this guy spends the rest of his life in prison for the safety of society, for the safety of everybody around him. Tell me what you think in the comments.